you can see that we've got a hell of a work to do next spring actually. I've been in contact with a number of Hanse owners in the Baltic actually, all being delivered within the last 2 years, and they've all had the same problem with this bottom paint. The extreme eco version of the lake paint was applied, and yeah, they've all got this problem where there was a lot of growth on the underside. We've been charged an extra 2 hours of labor on top of that just to clean this off. We need to fix it in the spring. One guy in Finland has been quoted 4,000 euros to get this fixed. To get all of this taken back, and then the primer taken back as well, because there's only 2 layers of primer attached. There's the tent. The guardrails are all off, fenders are all on the side. Spray hood's off, all the covers are off. Yeah, there's actually quite a lot of work being done to this to winterize it. Hi and welcome to 2020 with Aurora. So she's had a long winter and yeah, it's time to get her in the water soon. So we've got a little Bosch vacuum connected to a random orbital sander that I bought. So I got the Bosch Professional GEX 125 or 150-150. So that'll hopefully do a good job of that and make easy work of it, and then connect it to this vacuum. I was tempted to rent a vacuum to have a bigger volume there, but yeah, it becomes quite expensive when you have to buy the filters every time, and it costs around about 100 euros a time to rent a vacuum. So I bought one, and we'll see if it's big enough and it's going to do the job. It's not a very nice job, but someone's got to do it, eh? So first job is to sand it all off. Then there's a couple of marks on the keel that I've got to grind off, apply some rust conversion on there, epoxy that in, and then paint some primer on, and then put the anti-fouling on top of that. So I might show you that a bit as I go through it, but there's plenty of videos on YouTube that show that. Another thing we need to do this year is to replace the anode just here. That's looking a bit bad. This middle one, I think it can probably last another year. I'll decide that a little later on though. But as you can see, the rudder has been repaired as well. So they've sealed it up on the bottom. The original plan was to drill holes in the rudder, so I was told, and let it dry out over the winter, but then I was told that they didn't drill holes in the rudder because the water would have just gone out of the bottom. So to be honest with you, I wasn't too happy about that, and I requested that there be moisture readings taken on the boat or the rudder there, just to make sure that there's no water in there. But it's repaired anyway, and I did a few knock tests on it, and it sounds pretty dry in there. I had an independent surveyor come out as well and take a few moisture readings, and there was nothing on the moisture readings. So sounds pretty dry in there, sounds pretty solid. So we have to drill a hole in the bottom next year to see whether there is any water in there or not, but I doubt it, otherwise it would have been sounding a lot different. But still, I'm a bit skeptical. We'll see next year. Now we're taking this corona crisis to the next level. I have no idea whether you can hear me or not. Probably. How are you getting on, honey?
Huh? Hello.
So we're getting there, but this is relentless work. My shoulders are like half dead already. I've done like less than a quarter of the boat. Jesus Christ, it's hard. just started hailing there for a second.
Well, it's sort of hail, snow. It's very strange.
Yeah, but this setup is turning out to be absolutely perfect, I think. Then we got an extension as well. You need a long vacuum hose for this. And then the Bosch Advanced Vac 20. And the real advantage to this one is that you can just flick it up here. And then every time you start the sander, the vacuum will start automatically as well. That's a real help. You don't have to keep climbing down and yeah, turning the vacuum off. This is what owning a boat is, I guess. But yeah, the little 20-foot powerboat was a lot easier than a 40-foot bottom. Tanya's just looking at the anodes now. Was it a good max?
Yeah.
Needed some energy.
Yes.
Are you looking forward to getting back to the boat?
No, I just got my face back. I'm not black anymore.
It's a bit racist, Tanja.
You know what I mean with dust.
The sander though is killing my shoulders, so Tanya's going to have a little go in a minute, I think, and maybe it would have been better to get a lighter sander. I was a bit torn in getting the professional advanced one because it weighs quite a bit and it's yeah, pretty heavy on the shoulders, but it's really nice to hold as well because there's no vibration in it, and it doesn't vibrate your hands to pieces like the other little one did that I had before. She's probably experiencing in that little mask of hers how difficult it is a little bit. Very difficult.
Ow, my hair stuck. Ow, ow.
You're a bit wet in there, honey.
Oh.
Said the actress to the bishop. So things are progressing. Tanya's on this side now. She's being super strong and taking the port side. I'm just filling in some gaps in the keel or some damage to the keel. So I've got the rust converter on there now. I'm gonna leave it for 30 minutes. So that's just down here. And then also we touched the rocks a little bit during a little squall we had at Trescastora. So we went forward a little bit and just touched the rocks. So I just need to repair this little bit in here. So I just put a bit of epoxy in there and then prime it, and then we can anti-foul on top. So this was my repair before as well. There was a little bit of damage I did. That's actually held up really well. But just need to take care of those few spots. So I'm just putting the epoxy on now.
Okay.
That'll do.
Look at my hands.
So we've had mixed results today. We've found out from the yard owner as well that it's probably better to just take all the black off, just take all the anti-fouling off, put 2 coats of epoxy primer on, and then just start from scratch a bit as well. It's better to do the job properly now and have some years of anti-fouling on top of the epoxy primer rather than, yeah, just putting anti-fouling on that's just going to flake off with the old stuff. So day 2 is done. brutal hours of work, but good. It's she's done now. She just needs a little bit on the waterline and a little bit on the keel where I've filled in as well. But yeah, she's effectively anti-foul-less at the moment. There's a bit of primer left on here, but that's okay. And then next we got to buy some primer. 2 coats of primer, 2 coats of anti-fouling, and then that's it. We're done on the bottom. We took the anodes off as well. So there's an anode here, and just an anode on the back here. So we got those replaced, but we haven't put them on yet. We'll do that after all the painting and everything like that. But yeah, she's smooth as a baby's bottom now. So we just need to move the supports as well and move them around when we've done the coats of paint, and also treat those. But that is not a job that you want to do. To be fair, that is a lot of work. It's a couple of days worth of work there of sanding. It's heavy on the shoulders, like I've said before. But yeah, slowly.
Yeah, it's been a hard couple of days, but so glad the sanding is over and done with now. Yeah, you can probably see from my face that covered in dust. So right now I'm just looking forward to getting home, having a nice warm shower and getting all this dust off. It was a bit more of a mission than we thought it would be, and I think looking back, we either should have from the beginning made the decision to strip off everything and redo everything from scratch with primer and the anti-fouling, but that would have been easier because then we would have sanded the boat properly down in the first run. But now we had to do it again today, go over the whole boat again. But yeah, you live and you learn.
Hi guys, well, it's day number 3. Most of the work was done by the Bosch random orbital sander, which worked really well, connected to the Bosch vacuum. Great combination. Only used about 2 vacuum bags, and the vacuum didn't burn out or wasn't struggling or anything. And then I've had to do the line, the water line by hand pretty much, because that's a very delicate piece. I've got a friend in Denmark who has some very good videos on what you should do and all the things that you need to think about and everything. So I'll tell you a few bits and pieces, but I think his videos are going to be better than mine. I'll leave a link in the description. I've just got to look at that and do the final touches on the sanding and the repairs on the keel. Yeah, there's a bit more. Oh, might have to put a bit more filler on there. She's looking good and ready to be primed. So the first coat of epoxy primer we'll put on needs to be mixed 20% with thinners to make the paint coat thinner, so that the epoxy will bond better to the hull and it'll absorb into the hull better. So we're going to do that first. I'm not sure whether we have enough time though in this marina, because even on the weekends it's not really open. It's only guys who work here who are coming in and just working on their own boats, so we can actually get into the yard. So yeah, we're going to move marinas this year because I cannot be dealing with only weekdays where I can work on the boat. We want to be able to come down to the boat and work on it for as long as we want and just get it done in our own time. We don't want this rushing about and all this stress and everything, trying to get everything done in this yard. I mean, trying to find electric is, yeah, the electric's like 30 meters away and we can't find any water or anything like that. So she might not be polished this year, but we'll have to find out because I can't wash the boat at the moment. We might not even have time to put the first coat of primer on today, but soon. It's going to take some time because the primer needs 7 or 8 hours to dry off in between coats. I did not expect to be doing this 1 year into owning a brand new boat, I'm telling you that. So somebody specified the anti-fouling a bit wrong.
We should have bought masking tape that were for outdoor use and specifically for boat use and for long time day because it's proven to be quite easy to get off on the one side because it hasn't been in the sun, but come to this side it's really a problem. I think I spent the best part of 40 minutes now, so I guess it will take me an hour to just take it off on this side. It's sticky as I'm not allowed to say that word on YouTube, but it's very sticky.
Like shit on a blanket.
And I basically have to go over the surface with acetone alongside taking it off.
Yeah, we're taking this masking tape off now because we've damaged some of it just by sanding close to it and whatever, and it's just gone up a bit. So we're just replacing the masking tape ready for when we epoxy. One thing I thought of actually when we epoxy, just throwing masking tape at me. One thing I thought of actually when we do the epoxy is that it's probably important not to get the epoxy over the masking tape and let that dry. So we may have to mask every day that we do the epoxy because we need to get the masking tape off when the epoxy is drying or not dried yet, because that stuff will go hard and it will make it a nightmare to get the tape off on the next day. You've almost got it off now though. You're almost all the way around.
She's got a fat bum.
This should be a pleasurable experience taking masking tape off, but it's
This is like the worst.
not.
It's like a nightmare.
If you're going to buy a boat and you plan to do all this work yourself, buy a van, or even try and convince your boat dealer to throw in a van with the boat. So you get both things, you know, because look at this. Our poor car it's just been filled with paint and all kinds of stuff. So
It looks like a work truck.
yeah.
Poor Rufus.
Anyway, until next time on the boat.